Okay, this is take two. We've been having some minor technical issues with my computer freezing, so hopefully this version of the video will be better than the previous one. In this video, quick video, we're really just going to look at adding materials to an object. And materials are essentially colors, or they could be images or textures which get applied to a complete object, or even just a particular face on an object. So in a later video, we're going to be looking at UV mapping, which is where we actually map an image to a face, and all the kind of idiosyncrasies which go along with doing that. In this video, really what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with the cylinder which I've made. I'm just going to pop into edit mode. As you can see, I've added some loop cuts to create some extra faces. So essentially what I'm going to do is put some red stripes through the stripy bits, and I might make a, well, at the moment it's kind of a grey colour, maybe a yellow colour to go yellow and red. They kind of go together. Might look a little bit ridiculous, maybe a bit like a fire engine, but that's okay. So essentially what I'll be doing is, rather than having this kind of default grey texture or grey material which comes with every Blender model that we make, that we actually add a material which we can then define and apply to particular parts of the model. So hopefully it goes without a hitch this time. Otherwise I'll be back for take three. So I've got my model created. I'm here in edit mode. I'm just going to flick back to object mode for no particular reason, so you can see how the object looks at the moment, and the kind of shading options that I use at the moment are going to be kind of important for this. So there's some different kind of shading that we can see. So this is showing a kind of semi-rendered viewport, and you can see the grey is actually white, which is kind of the default colour which is added to everything. I'm just going to go back to the modelling mode, because the preview mode, because it's more likely my computer won't crash this way, and I'll show you how to make some materials and then add them to the model. It's pretty easy to do, so it shouldn't be too difficult, and if you get this, then the concept of bringing images in the same way will be pretty easy. So I just move over here to my property inspector, and we've just come down to the second to last selection here, which is material properties, and click on that. And this is basically where I start to define the materials which I can add to my object. So in this case, I'm just going to make colored materials to add. So almost like I'm working in Illustrator and adding colors to an object. In a later video, we'll start to bring in images to texture a object more convincingly, but this should do to start with. So you'll see here at the moment, there's no materials in my material box. This is it here. And essentially what I need to do is I need to add a material in order to place it onto the object. And to do that, we just click on plus, and it will create a material slot. And then we need to say add a new material, and that will then apply this material.001 to the object. I'm just going to name it as cylinder material. And I'm just going to move down, and we're in the surface, which is the important one to work with. I'm just going to change it from principled BSDF to diffuse BSDF. And I can define a color here. So you can see the default color is like white, which is defined on an object. I'm going to just click on it, and I'll go for kind of a yellowy color, yellowy orange. And that's all I need to do, and that's now applied to that object. And I can click on preview, and it will actually show me a little bit what it looks like. So bear in mind it's showing the preview with the lighting kind of effects which are on the object at the moment from the light which is up here on the right hand side. So I'm just going to leave it at this yellow color, and this is my material here. Just going to close down my surface a little bit. Now to apply that, I actually need to select the object. So I'm going to go back to edit mode, and here's my object, and you can see as I go to edit mode, the dialog changes a little bit here at the top where I have cylinder material, and I've got the ability to assign it to a selection, and I can deselect things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose parts of the cylinder which aren't these little loops here, and so I'm going to make sure I'm in face mode because I'm going to apply the material to a face, and I'm going to click on one face in the loop cut. Now if I want to click and select every face in a particular loop cut, I can just hold down the Alt key, and I'll hold down Shift and the Alt key again. Shift lets us do a group selection, so Shift and then the Alt key again. Whoops, grabbed the wrong loop cut. So I'm just going to work with these two selections at the moment to make it easy. So I've got them selected. This is my material selected, and if I hit assign on it, it will assign that material to that object. So I've just assigned it there, and it kind of looks like nothing has happened. I'm going to go back to object mode, and you'll say, Craig, nothing's really happened here, and it's because of the kind of preview mode that we're in. So I'm just going to click over here on this viewport shading and show this material preview. That's better. It's showing yellow everywhere, which is a kind of bold and showing it in the sense that I expected it to. Now I'm going to create another new material, and I'm going to add some red stripes to those 3 loop cuts which go through the middle of it. So to this one, to this one, and to this one, I'm going to add red to it just by making a red material. So come over here to my materials, click plus, going to make a new one. I'm going to call this red stripe, and again on my surface just go to diffuse. For my color, I'm just going to choose a red, so nice and bold and red. Again, making sure I'm in face mode. Going to hold down Alt and select on an object, and it's going to select all the points, all the faces in that loop cut, and click assign, and that will put the red stripe through there. Go to the next one, hold down Alt, select them all, make sure I've got red stripe selected on, hit assign, and it will apply it to it. Third one, hold down Alt, whoops, Command Z. I'm having a little bit of problems with this bottom one. That's better. Choose red stripe and hit assign, and it will put that red stripe there. And I'm just going to go out to object mode so you can see how on that object I've added particular colors to particular faces. I'll just go through that again so you can kind of appreciate how it works. I'll just click back to viewport shading, which kind of removes all the materials. Remembering we have to add a new material before we can apply it. So I'm going to click on plus to add a new material, and then we have to go new. So just creating it creates a slot for a material, and then we need to create a new material. I'm going to leave it as principled BSDF on this occasion, and I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to call it, what have I got? I've got red and yellow, so I'm going to do some blue. So I'm going to call this blue box. I'm going to make a little blue box selection on it. Go to base color, double click on that, choose me a blue. Pretty happy with that. Again, you can kind of preview what it looks like. That's a pretty dull blue there. And again, I need to go back to edit mode and select the faces I want to work with. So I'm just going to select these manually. I'm going to select this group of boxes and just apply the blue color to it by going over to my materials, clicking on blue and clicking on assign. And again, the reason why I can't see the colors here is I've gone back to this kind of solid model. I'm going to click on the material preview, and you can see that will have added those colors to my object. And again, if I go back to object mode, you can see how it looks. Now these are quite bold and basic colors, but the principle that we'll use when we kind of add the detailing of our textures and our image maps to our object kind of work the same way. We select a face and we apply a texture or image map to it. So if we can follow this along, then what we do with the image mapping or UV mapping should make some sense to you.